Cabral, TK. I'm gonna call you TK because that's easier to remember. Although Cabral's probably way cooler sounding than TK, but we'll go with TK.
Safe.
Thanks for being on the Beehive, man.
Thanks for having me.
Heard a lot about you. You have you brought with you. Is it your manager?
Yeah, that guy's my manager, and that dude right there is my right hand who helps me with like everything that I do creatively, from like shirt design to music videos to everything.
He's too busy to even make eye contact with us right now. That's how hard this guy works.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Right, that's what he needed the Wi-Fi for.
Yeah.
It's all good. Always working.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys making the drive here, man. Honestly, it's good to have you. I heard a lot about you, obviously through Tanvir. We watched your music video on YouTube, a couple of them, and I wasn't sure if you consider yourself a rapper or a singer, a musician. What do you go by? Because I wanted to say rapper, but you don't rap as much as I would think you would as a if you want to be labeled as rapper.
I'm glad that you noticed that.
Right?
Usually people just
I try to pay attention.
Yeah, they just see me with the dreads and stuff like that, like rapper, right? Go get face tats. But yeah, no, I like to think of myself as like a recording artist or like a musician going into different genres and things.
You got a good voice.
Thank you.
I liked it.
Thank you. I'm guessing you guys watched that video with me on like the jet ski and things like this.
Yeah, that one gave me a headache. Because the last time I seen a jet ski, I like got a concussion from it.
Oh shit!
So I was just
PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just reminiscing a little bit. But that video is kind of cool because it's very 90s,
right?
I was telling Tanvi, it reminded me of that the Tupac videos back in the day that we all liked, standing outside of the benzo and rapping, singing, whatever, and that's the feel I got. Is that what you try to go for?
I didn't have like Tupac's one of my like all-time favorite artists like ever. So in that moment I didn't really think about it, but now that you say it and I think about like the I Get Around video, yeah, they're like. It's like the same kind of vibe. Yeah, you remember
subconsciously you were going that way without even knowing it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
You remember those commercials from back in the day? They're like Body Break or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was like I wanted to make a visual that like looked like that, and like so like when I told homie about it, because like we shot it. It was my one friend Cordell, who on Instagram goes by 98 Apollo. He's really dope, but he shot it on the back of the jet ski that he was riding, and like we're just doing like this makeshift shit, but pretty much in short is like I wanted to encapsulate that like old 90s commercial vibe, and then like he did that perfectly with like the credits, and then the promotion for the song and stuff like that too is pretty sweet.
It's funny that you should mention the credits because we noticed that was such a cool part of the video, because you don't have credits like that anymore. Right. Usually nowadays there's no credits. It's like, subscribe, move on. You know what I mean? You hardly see it done the way you guys did. Looks pretty good.
Thank you.
So is Tupac one of your main aspirations to go after this music world? Was there a few of them, or strictly Tupac? Like obviously there's probably a couple.
Yeah, over the years there's been a lot more, but like let's say going back to like the root of it all, I'd say it was like my auntie and Tupac that like made me understand that I could like do the rapping thing, or I could like make my poetry stand out for other people to like get to listen to it and things like that. And then it was like artists like Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Mac Miller, Wiz Khalifa, things like that. That whole generation of like the backpack type rappers, like they made it okay for me to be like, okay, I don't have to be doing gangster stuff or things like that. I could like talk about positivity in my music and like things that uplift people, rather than just talking about the negatives that are in the streets and things like that. So, but initially, yeah, it was Tupac, and like it was Tupac's musical influence and my auntie's like life influence that made me want to get into the music.
What inspired you the most about Tupac? Because the reason I asked that is because I'm a huge Tupac fan.
Oh, wicked!
Like huge Tupac fan. People don't know that about me. I mean, the ones that know me know that, but just by bumping into me, a Lebanese guy, what does he know about Tupac? I'm a huge Tupac fan. I've read up about him. I watched almost every interview, all his music videos, of course, all the CDs growing up, albums. But what inspired you about it? Like, what do you find so inspirational about him?
I guess like this would be like the first time I'm talking about this like on camera, but it was like I was like initially I was just really obsessed with like what he was doing like as an artist and how charismatic he was, right? And then as a kid though, so this is around the same time I was like doing that like Fight Club stuff I was talking about earlier. But
yeah, we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah, so like I was like listening to him religiously, and then every day at school I'd be like, oh yeah, he's alive, right? And then like one day, and this was like when I started getting into like
what year was this?
My poetry more, 2009.
Okay.
And then it was like one night after like I watched this documentary And then like, I don't know, I just like felt it in my heart that it was just like the guy, like, rest in peace, you know what I mean? Like, he's gone. And then I had a dream and in that dream, like, long story short, like, I seen him in my dream and things like this. And then like, as a kid, I was just a kid, and I was like, yeah, you got to teach me how to do this and things like that. And he's like, yeah, we could work something out maybe. And then, yeah, I don't want to go in too much detail about the dream, but like, yeah, so it was like pretty much a dream that I had with him in it when I was a kid, that like, I was like, okay, I could do this. Like, this is in my fate. It's like, I told my auntie when I was 3 or 4 years old. I still remember this. She was wrapping Christmas gifts, and she asked what I wanted to be when I was older. And I told her I was going to be a rock star. So like, it all just linked in together. I was like, okay, I got it. This is the move now. And then so I've just been grinding on it ever since. I still remember what she told me. She's like, you don't even know what a rock star is. And I was like, sure I do. And then she like laughed, and she told me that I could be anything that I want to be, as long as I get my education and I'm smart and I'm respectful and I'm humble. This is like, I just stick by those words. She's no longer with us, but like, I feel like the more influence I gain with my music, the more kids I'm able to help out, the more artists I record, the more people I build up. It's like her influence, so she like lives on forever through that. And
were these lessons learned in Edmonton?
Yeah.
Born and raised?
Born and raised here in Edmonton, yeah. I actually just started leaving more often. Before, I only ever been to Portugal. Like, that's where my family's from. Yeah. So like, I've been to Portugal 3 times, but then aside from that, I never really left Edmonton. It was just more so in 2018 where I started, like, I seen Toronto, got to go to Calgary, got to go to New York. And it was all for my music and stuff like that, so it was really cool.
This Toronto trip and the New York trip were recent, right?
Yeah, I just got back. How was that? It was insane.
Was it your first experience? Because I lived in Toronto and I've been to New York. What was your take on both cities? Because they're very similar in a way.
Yeah, they are.
Because Toronto's like the New York of Canada, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, the vibes. It was like really cool, and I didn't feel as much like an outsider, because like here's like a blue collar city, and it's like, you know, rig work and like trucks and everything like this. And then, but like down there, there's like a lot more people that are interested in the same kind of things that I'm interested in. Yeah. So I didn't like I still stood out in the way that I dress and everything like that, but it wasn't like, I didn't stick out like a sore thumb type thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I stood out in like a good way, rather than like how it is down here. People are like, oh, why you paint your nails, or why do you wear this kind of necklaces, or blah, 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 all this stuff, right? That like people down there don't even bat an eye to. So
creative freedom. You want to do your own thing.
Yeah.
I respect that. Your background is full Portuguese?
I'm a mix, actually. I'm Portuguese, Brazilian, and Jamaican.
That's a good mix. Mm-hmm. You ever go to Brazil?
No.
Or Jamaica?
No.
No?
Those are on the bucket list.
Like, yeah, I was going to say, they got to be on that checklist that you got going on.
Yeah, 100%.
You have any shows that you do in Edmonton? Because I know, before I get to that, what I found inspiring about your story is that you give back to a lot of the youth in Edmonton. But I wanted you to elaborate as to how you do that, because we didn't get into detail, but that's something that's important to me and important to a lot of people. So I just thought you'd touch up on that.
I don't like to, well, like, it's,
you don't have to go into detail, but
yeah, I just don't want to like take credit for them growing, but like what I like to do for like the younger artists is just like everything from just making them feel like everything that they're doing is okay, and then guiding them through the path that like took me like years and years, you know, to do. Like, I didn't have anybody like in my corner musically until I was about like 19 years old, and that's when I met him, and then he started helping me with my music videos and things like that. So I just like, for artists that I meet, I like to shorten that gap. So it's like, let's get you your first show before you're 19. Let's get you like your opening gigs. Let's get all of that set up. Let's record your first songs. It's getting them to meet the photographers that they need to meet, and just like pulling everybody together and setting, like, just throwing them in the community and like watching them grow. Like, that's what I like to do.
That's
I like
awesome.
to watch them do that.
That's awesome. And not to discuss numbers to be like detailed or accurate, but how many people would you say that you've helped out? Like, generally speaking, are you talking about, 20 people, 10 people, 50 people, or is it, have you been doing this for a really long time?
It's a good question. It's like, so pretty much since I started recording myself, I've also been recording other artists. So like a lot of them don't even make music anymore. Like a lot of them was just like, I want to be a famous rapper one day and blah, blah, blah. So they recorded their mixtape at my house. But like, I actually like lose count of how many artists that I've had record in my studio, or people that I've given opportunities and stuff. Now I'm trying to be a little bit more, not restricted with it, but I'm trying to be more focused with it. So then the people I do help, I'm able to help really well. And at the same time, I'm able to stay focused on what I'm doing. But yeah, like off the top of my head, like without any names and things like this, like I'd say like there's a good like 5 right now that I'm working with that I'm helping build
Good
up
for you.
and things like this. Yeah.
I'm
And then-
sure they're appreciative.
Yeah, for sure.
And you record out of your house?
Yeah.
You got the studio going on there?
It's makeshift, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Everything's a makeshift. Look at this place.
it's pretty
Makeshift. Do what you got to do.
definitely tidier than my basement.
Put things together. Well, I don't know, man. You haven't seen what's beyond these curtains. Yeah, just so everybody knows, we're all curtained over here. Even like on that side, it's curtains. It's curtains everywhere. But yeah, you do what you got to do as long as that sound quality is there, and you sound pretty good. What's your next step? Like, what's your what do you envision for yourself in the next few years to come?
So like, where will I be in the next couple of
Yeah.
years?
Or where do you see yourself? Not to put you on the spot, but
I'd say like even within like the next 6 months, with the releases I have coming up and things like that, like it's gonna be like things are gonna just be like different. Like I'm already sensing like the waves and everything changing right now with like the last couple of songs that I've released and how people react to them, and like how I get like fan messages and everything like that. And so I'm like 6 months from now, I want to be more comfortable financially, so I'm able to fund more of my ideas. And then I'd say like 2 years from now, like I'm probably gonna be the person that I dreamt of being when I was a kid.
nice.
Yeah, it's like I've been recording pretty much every day or working on music and my creativity since I was like 14 years old. So it's pretty much 10 years. So it's like I feel like I'm finally mastering the craft, and so I'm thinking within like the next couple of years it'll really show.
And then by then you just need a new hero to look up to, something else to achieve.
Yeah,
You got to keep it going, right? You got to
100%.
you got to keep finding that next step, because once you accomplish what you need to accomplish in the next few years, you got to look for that. What's the next step? What's the next? Well, who's the me in 10 years that I'm trying to be like? And are you planning to leave Edmonton and pursue this elsewhere, or were these trips to Toronto, New York, was that just a quick meeting that you had, or some studio time, or what was that?
it was that, and I like to think of it this way. Like, look at me as like a hockey team, like the Oilers, right? So like they get trades from
The Oilers
people.
like now, or
No,
the
no,
Oilers
like the good ones.
85? Okay.
No,
Those
shade
are
to
different
them.
Oilers.
Yeah,
No offense to the Oilers,
Yeah.
but we need to pick it up a little bit.
just like a hockey team in general, right? So it's like you like I'd be working with producers from different places and things like that. It's the same way as like how as a team you'd get players from different places, right? But I'm doing it all for Edmonton. So when I leave to go to New York or LA or wherever it is I go, I'm proving that Edmonton has something, and we have a lot of dope stuff that people need to come back and look at. So it's like I'm going and beating all these other teams and proving that the Stanley Cup belongs here, type thing. That's the way that I look at it. So I'm always going to be Edmontonian at heart. I can live, like, even in days that I'm in Dubai and shit like that, I'll always still be from Edmonton. So I really want to put Edmonton on like that.
Good for you. Do you have a big family? Not to get too personal, but do you have a lot of siblings? Or are you an only child?
I got my little brother, and then that's pretty much it. Like,
Okay.
yeah, and like I was like born at a odd time. My mom was like young, so I don't really have many cousins like around my age. They're all like older or much younger.
Yeah.
But no, I'm like, I like my family. They're dope.
Yeah.
Without them, without like the support system I have through like my grandmother and my uncle, I wouldn't be able to pursue what I'm doing right now.
And your little brother looks up to you?
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Should have brought him along. just to get him some airtime. That'd be fun, eh?
Yeah, no doubt.
Next time.
He'd be hype about it.
Yeah.
It's like we were at the mall the other day, and then like it was like him, I, and my uncle. We were at Galaxyland, and then these like a couple of kids that came up to me and they're like asking for pictures and stuff like that. And my brother's like, "I'm his little brother. I'm his little brother." It's cool.
Most of your fans, when you get messages or emails or DMs or however you receive them, are a lot of them positive, and if so, what do you gain from that, and do you have any that aren't so positive?
You have really good questions, but what's it called? The fan messages that I get like range from everything from like, this song like helped me get through this on this day, or like, yo, I love to like party and like listen to that, and like I love what you're doing. Or I get messages like, it's like as of late I've been more vocal with like my views on like what's happening in the city and things like this, and people have been liking it, so I'm getting good response on that. But when it comes to like the negative, I never like I haven't really gotten any messages, people just blatantly telling me off or anything. But like I get like ones where it's like, yo man, like I'm a big fan of your stuff, blah blah blah. Like I always like root for you if like people are like talking bad about you or something like that, right? So it's like a slanted compliment type thing.
Yeah, letting you know that it's out there, but I got your back.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
and it's like, okay, I wouldn't have even been thinking about it until you said it, but
Right.
all right, thank you, I
Yeah.
guess, But
Do you
it's
try
cool.
not to get involved in too many of the, because some people out there, whether they have you know, a podcast, a TV show, they try to stay away from comments, and some of them even shut it off, where they don't want to see it. They don't, even if it's positive all the way or negative, they just don't want to, nothing to do with it. Do you find that you try not to get wrapped up too much in the messages and comments, or do you like to be a part of that, good or bad? You want to be involved, let them know that you're, you know, because do they think you're a dick if you don't respond, if you don't, you know, if somebody says something nice about you and you don't even hit the like button? Do you, you know, because I'm kind of like, especially now with the podcast and getting out there more, my views have changed, and my not my vocabulary, but my thoughts on things have become more elaborate. I'm more outspoken about certain things that either I love or don't love. How do you feel about that whole being involved in the comments?
I like it. I think I like it for now, though. It's gonna change, like, because like it's already starting to get a little bit overwhelming. Because it's like I'm like any other human being, right? Like there's days where like I'm depressed and things like this, and then those, I feel like you'd think that like all the positive messages from people are like would uplift you out of a situation like that, but for me, I'm weird. It doesn't, and I'm just like, these people looking up to me, and I'm like, I feel like right now I feel like a piece of shit. Again, I don't want to look at any of those messages. I'll literally pretend that they don't exist. But when I'm not in like a pit of my own like nonsense, I really enjoy like getting people's feedback and talking to them and letting them know that I'm a person just like how they are. So no matter how big I get, they could be just like me. They could do everything that I'm doing plus more. They could be way better than I am. You know what I mean? And they can do it all without making the same kind of mistakes that I made. So it's just like I like to be in the comments and the messages for now, but I know that it's going to get to a point where like I'm not going to be able to reply to every single one. So consciously I'm going to feel weird about replying to one or two when there's like 100 kids messaging me. I can't get back to each and every single one of them. It's like every like couple of days I try to make it so I'm going through all my unread messages and replying to people, but like it's tough to get back to every single person, but I want to.
And sometimes if you're having a day where you're not feeling 100%, sometimes going through those comments, especially because a lot of them are positive, that probably helps to uplift your day a little bit, even though you're saying, you know, on a bad day you don't even want to look at those. Do you find that those help a little bit to kind of, you know, lift up your mood?
Yeah, I say it for sure. And like that's the problem with like depression and things like that. It's like this like monster in one's head that's like it's making you stay upset, you know what I mean? So it's like all these positive things that are out there, it'll be like, you don't deserve that, don't even, like, you know, because it knows that if I look at that, I'm going to be feeling better. So it's like, no, don't even take the chance. You don't need to feel better. You just need to feel that. You know what I mean? I'm getting better. Like it used to be way worse, but like nowadays I feel like I'm much more open, and like because I'm more open with my emotions and I'm not holding things back as much, I don't really get depressed and things like that as often as I used to.
Like a self-sabotage sort of thing when you get down.
Yeah.
Is that, how do you climb out of, you know, you've told us what you know, how you react when you're having an off day and what you try to stay away from. What do you do to kind of uplift yourself or get your spirits back up? Is it music? Is it video games? Are you into like, what are you into that really helps you get out of those, you know, moments of depression?
The only thing that like really gets me out of it is like I gotta meditate and like quiet, and just like if I meditate and like just remember and realize that, you know, like reality is all perception, and and life is what you make it. It's like I'm making it miserable in this moment. Why am I doing that? And just figuring it out and finding the root problem as to why I'm reacting this way, because it's like spirit and body, right? So it's like figuring out why my brain is acting a certain way, because my spirit is able to look at it objectively, type thing. You know what I mean? Like a fly on the wall. So like if I'm able to like make communications with those two things, like mind, body, and soul, then I'm not as depressed, or like I'm not worried about it. Like I realize like I got way bigger things to worry about than self-pity.
True.
I got people to take care of and things like that. That I want to make everyone's life better. So
Awesome.
Can't be depressed and things.
Is meditating tough for you?
No, actually, I got into it. I don't know. I don't even know how the two come hand in hand. Actually, I guess I do, talking about it out loud now, but it's like I got into meditating the same time that I started like rapping and like putting my poetry down and then recording it and playing it for other people. And it's like, I think it's when I came across Tupac and started listening to him like heavily and having it on heavy rotation. It made me start questioning like spirituality and God a whole lot more. And then I got into that, and then because of that dream that I had, I was like I looked into dreams and lucid dreaming and things like that. And then I realized that since I was a kid, I had like a talent for manipulating or controlling my dreams to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that that was a real thing. You know what I mean? I didn't know to talk to people about it. So like when I researched it and I learned that people lucid dream and it's a real thing, then I tried mastering that, and then just meditating every day, trying to get into the astral projection stuff, all of that.
That's funny because I looked into lucid dreaming and astral projection, and I've done both.
Yeah.
And it's only worked like twice for me. Like twice where I actually projected out of my body, which up till then I did not think was possible, because I read up on it, watched videos on it. You go through the guided meditations, you put your headphones on, find yourself in a nice, quiet place after a shower, your body's like at that right temperature. But one time, I think it was in the middle of the afternoon, it seems to work the best, where you can astral project if you do it right. But it was so intense, man. Like, I had no idea that that's what it was, because you can read up about it, you can watch videos on it, but until you experience that high level meditation, it's very hard to describe to people. Yeah. Have you gone through that, or is it just been a subtle level of meditating, and that's kind of what you stuck to? Have you experienced like a eureka moment in meditating?
Oh yeah, for sure. I've done the astral projection thing 3 times. 2 times it was like purposeful, and then like the third time, like it happened like while awake and meditating, so it was weird because
you're like zoning in and out. You're in that REM phase.
Because it's like the 2 times that I did it purposefully, it was like I did like the sleep trick where you go to sleep and then your mind stays awake type thing, and then that way you could do it. But like that other time, like the third time, I was just like meditating and I was thinking about things, and then before I knew it, it was like for a split second, but for that split second it felt like a long time, you know what I mean? And like my perception, like the way I was seeing in that brief moment, it was like, instead of like looking through my eyes in the room, it was like I was the room looking at the person, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, I can't even describe like what my perception was. It wasn't like normal at all. It was a trip for sure.
It's probably 10 minutes and it felt like months.
Yeah, if even like I think literally it might have even been like 1 second, but it felt like hours. Crazy, and hours and hours. Yeah.
Do you find that meditating helps with your dreams? Because we're talking about how dreams have affected your course in life and what you go after. Because I'm a very heavy dreamer. Like, I can recall my dreams to the T, whether it's 3 or 4 of them that I have a night. I can even wake up and go back to sleep and continue a dream that I was dreaming.
That's wicked.
Like,
that's dream warrior shit.
You know what I'm saying? But to some people, when I explain that to them or tell them, they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I wake up out of a dream and I'll go to the bathroom, tinkle, come back, and I'll continue that dream where I was. And that's always baffled me, that not many people do that. And I always think, am I the only one? Why am I dreaming so heavily? Why is it so detailed? Why is it so vivid? Me and Tanvir were talking about that like an hour ago. So I wanted to hear from you, since you've obviously had some dreams affect your life. Do you notice that you can recall all your dreams? Like, what's your theory on that?
Oh yeah, like it's like, for me, there's like weird levels to it, and there's like different types of dreams as well. But like if I want to, I'll remember like what I seen. But there's times that like I'm a weirdo spiritually and things like this. So like, but there's times like I feel like I'm not. And like, like that movie Inception, like how they have their own created realities, right? In those dreams, like I have my own, right? And then it's like, there's times though that I'm not there, and like I'm getting given information, or and I'm seeing things differently. And then in that same like process, it's like, you aren't going to remember this when you wake up. And then I wake up and I remember being told that I'm not going to remember it. But that's it. But aside from that, like my regular dreams, like I remember easily. I could lucid dream, I could fly, I could do whatever I want. But yeah, and I'd say too, like, my meditation helps with it quite a bit for sure. And it
helps like make it a little clearer.
Yeah, and creating too, and like making music and things like that. Just creating in general, I think, helps a lot with the whole dream process as well. And it's just like I like in my studies and things like that I research, is just like, I come, like, for me, like, right, this isn't like, I don't want to force my views on anybody, but like the way I see it is like, you and I, we're on like a linear line that's A to Z from when we're born to when we die, right? But where our imagination comes from, where our conscious comes from, where dreams come from, like everything spiritual, like your spirituality, soul, fate, destiny, it all exists outside of the line. So it's looking at the line, right? So it's
Gotcha.
like we are experiencing the explosion, right? So like sperm meets the egg, boom, that's the then we start forming, blah 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 blah. It's an explosion. We grow until we start dissipating. We grow old, and then the game goes blank, right?
Yeah.
But on like, there's a bunch of things that happen outside of that line that have it. So everything is like, to us, like for me, I don't believe in chance, and I don't believe that things don't happen for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences. For me, it's like, it's literally impossible.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, because it's like on that line, right? Like, let's say if we had our own choice and our own fate, it'd be like a video game where, oh, I don't like this decision I made. Let me go back to my save point, change it, see what it'd be like differently, right? And then you're like, oh, I don't like this decision either. Go back, save it, do it differently. That's you having a choice. But even then, you have your choices are restricted to the game director's choices for you.
That's true.
Right? And then when you look at it at that scale and you think about your life, okay, so you scratch out the save points, no save points, right? And then these decisions that are getting given to us, I'm not the writer of this. I didn't like choose when you two would meet, but we're here right now.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I think when one starts tapping into that and you see that life is a book, right? And like you study your pages. So like, let's say I'm on letter F right now and I study everything before then. So then I could see the symbology, the foreshadowing, everything like that. It's all just like a book.
Subconsciously how everything came together because of things that you thought about.
Exactly.
It seems more methodical than you actually think. It's not chance. It's not you're waking up and I wonder what's going to happen today. It's almost like things are written out for you. Things are laid out in patterns, in paths that you got to take. So it's almost inevitable, but you still have to take the action to get there. You just don't know why you're doing it. You know what I mean? So there's something to be said about just being a free thinker and just follow your gut. I think that's where that term comes from, where you're just following your gut. It feels like you're meant to do something. You're meant to meet somebody or go to a certain place or travel, or you know what I mean?
Like I'd say too, like I tell this to like a lot of the artists that come to my house and record and things, is like you only have pointless interactions if you carry your life pointlessly. You know what I mean? If you just exist to be here, then you're going to get used in somebody else's book, and then that's your fate. That's what you're glued to. That's what you're supposed to do. And it's just like, but when you take hold and you realize that it's a book and then you do your own thing, then now you're your own story rather than just being an NPC in a video game. Can I take your order? Blah, blah, blah. You go to sleep, wake up and do it again, and then reproduce and get your kids to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then it's all just like, it's all done there. And this is the thing too, like I almost got distracted, but the reason why, like, us talking about lucid dreaming and things like this isn't just a common knowledge or a common practice, is because there's like 100,000 questions out there, but the thing is, you answer one of those questions, it brings up 1,000 more. So it's like, okay, why isn't lucid dreaming being taught and things like this? Okay, you learn about that, so it's proving to you that your soul exists. Yeah. Like when you're astral projecting, you're lucid dreaming. So then now this fear of hell and like religions, everything like that starts looking differently. Everything society's telling you starts looking differently. So then it's like, it's going to lead up to that point to, why the fuck am I going to work tomorrow?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, there's hundreds of thousands of questions that lead up to that point. And then it's just like, society's plan is just, we're not supposed to pay attention to those questions. You know what I mean? We're supposed to argue about race, sex, what this person's doing, what that person's doing. No one's focused on themselves.
Trivial shit.
Yeah. You know, no one's focused on themselves. And then like all of these like movements that are happening are so fake, because like the movement is disguised as this thing to take down the machine that is controlling us, right? But the movement is owned by the machine. How does that work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like all the power to all black people, all people of all cultures, but it's like things like certain like the movements that are being made, it's disguised as something that's positive, but it's a negative. You know what I mean? Like, how
are you talking about all of them?
Not, I can't just like blanket and say all of them, but just like for the most part, the ones that are in your face, being thrown in your face the most, those are the ones. Because it's like, if it was about an actual change, you think that would be allowed to be known to all of us? Like, no.
It's almost like a distraction.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then they throw it out there so we think we're doing something, but we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything at all. You know, and it's like these guys all, like, it's all the same companies owning the same thing. So it's like that thing I was talking about with the video game choice, right? These guys are the ones displaying the choices for us, and they're being masters of their own fate.
And we think that those are the only choices we have.
Exactly,
you know,
right?
you have A, B, and C. Well, why are you looking for D and F? And you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like we're giving you those options. Choose one. But no matter which one you choose, it's almost like it's got a, you know, the rabbit hole's much deeper than we think. I know I say that a lot, but that's what it feels like.
No, 100%. And it's like I feel like my career path and musically, I think after it was like we were talking about what am I gonna do after I hit that point of where I always wanted to be. I really want to help the youth. I want to go to third world countries. I want to go to places where people like aren't able to get this kind of knowledge and help raise them up, right? And stick a middle finger to the man that be holding us down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my grand plan. And it's like somewhere down the road, music forgot about that. What the hell happened? You know what I'm saying? That's what music was about back then. Like sticking it to the people. I mean, sticking it to the man who'd be running the people. And now it's not. Now it's for the man. And it's like, so it's like you look at companies, and it's like I'm about to go off right now, and maybe even get in trouble. But it's like you look at companies, right? So it's like it's companies like big pharmaceutical companies, things like that. It's like you look at the grand scheme of things, the whole planet is being ran by like 6 companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
the dreaded 1%.
Yeah. So you like look at it this way. So let's just say hypothetically that this one company, right, that owns pharmaceutical drugs, prisons, and record labels, right? So in the record label, you have these artists talking about pharmaceutical drugs, getting all these kids hooked on them, right? And so these kids go start doing the drugs, selling the drugs. They get now thrown into the prison that is owned by the same, right?
Yeah.
And the records is owned by the same, and the drugs are owned by the same people. So that's why right now it makes sense that we're in like Zanny land for when it comes to music, because how big are the pharmaceutical companies? That's like, like as a regular person, that should be one of your biggest enemies, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the music is right now, especially rap music. It's a pharmaceutical drug commercial, whether it's comethazine or promethazine or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's all about that. So like now to be a musician, you got to be a drug addict that doesn't care, and you have all your like your face tatted and stuff like that. Like I think face tats are dope as hell, and I think like I like a lot of the music that's out there. But it's like peep game though. Pay attention to what you're saying and understand how the kids are gonna perceive that.
Yeah.
Be as ignorant as you want. Like I'm no saint. I say all types of ignorant shit in my music, but people get to hear me talk, or they listen to my other music. Like they hear that I'm not somebody who just doesn't give a fuck. I do care, and I do want
Like look at the whole picture before you judge.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And it's like it's a shame that like right now the leaders of the new school and the new music and this new thing is just so commercial, and it's just so polluted with like negativity. So it's either you're objectifying women or you're talking about pharmaceutical drugs, and it's just like, man, it's boring. And then on top of that, everybody's running through the same auto-tune filters and everything. It's like music has become such a commercial program. It's like television programming. Like it's I feel like now more so than ever, to the point where it's like if you're not making a Drake type song or having that tone, how's your song gonna get played in the club? It's next to impossible. You know, it's like it took me so long to get one of my songs played in the club, and I've been friends with DJs my whole life. Yeah. You know, and I'm glad though I stuck to my roots and I didn't make a Drake type record to get it in the club. I didn't do that, so that's really good. And like I love Drake's music, but like a lot of these kids just got to be their own people. But that's not what the music's trying to teach people right now. It's not teaching you to be yourself. It's teaching you to be just like these other dudes, just be another zombie, another sheep, and then that's what music is right now. I want to change that.
I can see why you're a big Tupac fan, because Tupac, I mean, his music was so influential to a lot of people, not just you, obviously millions and millions of people, is because there was something so real about the message that he had. You know, he could be recording an album one day and then shooting 2 off-duty officers because they were drinking and abusing a person. You know, so for him to take those kind of chances. So there's a lot that Tupac did that was very heartfelt, that was very much about the youth, wasn't scared to speak his mind. Like there was a message there. When people say Biggie is the best rapper of all time, and I love Biggie, but he was more of like get you on your feet kind of rapper, get you onto the dance floor, where when Tupac rapped, you were just kind of sitting back, you know, smoking a joint, taking it all in, but really getting a different message than just a dope beat. It was more about his mom. It was more about habits. It was more about Brenda's got a baby. Like there was a lot of meaning behind his rap. And so I can see a lot of that with your talk about helping the youth and making a difference and you know, staying woke and not being, you know, so you're taken away by all this programming that's going on. So I can see why you're influenced by Tupac quite a bit, because I felt the same way. I thought his message was crazy compared to, you know, just your average dope rapper. You know what I mean?
No doubt. And it's like something I always like to say too when it comes to that Biggie and Tupac thing. Like like I love Biggie. Like I only got like
They were best friends at one point. You can't really hate
Yeah.
on either one.
And this is the thing though, like with everything you just said about what Tupac was doing for the community, for the youth, which one had problems with the media? Was it Tupac or was it Biggie?
Tupac.
You know, isn't that crazy though?
Yeah,
the
of
one
course.
that's like that's in the communities,
Because he's more vocal about it.
stopping gang violence, things like this,
Yeah.
or like being there for the women. That's the one who gets raped. I mean, labeled as like a
He got
sexual
charged with
abuser
rape.
and shit. Yeah, and they put rape on the newspaper, even though like the charge was like he's like a sexual assault because he slapped a girl's ass in the club. That's insane.
Tupac in the 1990s getting charged with rape. It's like, you obviously don't know his status that he can have anybody. Like, it's always the guys that can have anybody they want. Yeah, they're the ones just touching women inappropriately when they shouldn't be. It's like, there's so much. You could see it on his face when he gets charged for that. Like, it hurt him deep, man. It was almost like he'd rather take another few bullets than to hear somebody, label him as a sodomizer or somebody that.
And it did too. You could see it in his interviews afterwards. He was way more jaded toward, like, he was calling then afterwards. It was like, bitches ain't shit, blah blah blah. He didn't trust no women and he didn't trust any of his friends. He was like and he was only 25. Like,
you ever see the side by side profile? When he's doing that video, when he was 16, he's like, they're calling women the B word, and they're getting all the girls, and then it just skips through to the 1990s, like bitches ain't shit, and we'd love them hoes, and it's like that.
I
was like, that's a whole different Tupac, man. But it changed him as well, because at some point you just got to say fuck it and be vocal about things, but it gets you into trouble. So for everybody that thinks Biggie killed Tupac, you out of your mind. If you think some gangsters killed him, like this is a deeper issue than you think, right?
I'm glad you see it like that.
Of course, man. I've followed that stuff, but it's it's just, you speak up and you talk about things that are very very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. Man, some people don't want you to talk like that. Some people don't want you to be all wise and make a difference in your community the way some of these other guys do. You know what I mean? Like, so I could see how that's influenced you, and I hope you continue on that mindset, that journey, and speak your mind. And even if it gets you in trouble, even if it lands you in prison, who cares? Stay true to yourself, like you're saying. I definitely like where you're going with that.
I'm glad. It's like I look at it this way, like I think everything that's happening on a small scale happens on a grand scale, like that old saying, as above is below type thing. So it's like,
what's that saying?
As above is below.
Never heard that.
You've never heard that?
No.
Okay, well, like usually,
elaborate.
It usually gets labeled with like Satanism and things like that. Media has twisted it. So it's like, you ever see like the pictures of like the Baphomet with hands down, hands pointing up, it's like things like that. But it's like, what it means though is like everything that's in the universe is within one's body, like, and vice versa. So like,
I believe that.
So all of that, right? So things that are happening small scale, happening on a grand scale. And the way that I see it, it's like right now our planet is a negative place, right? Like it's not good, and we're destroying it, and we're destroying ourselves. So then it being a negative place, you look at it like a human body, right? So like what happens when like us as a human body, what happens when like something foreign enters our, like all the white blood cells attack it and try getting it gone, right? It's a sickness. And then when you're a positive person in a negative place, you're a sickness to that negative thing. They'll kill you.
You're the odd one out.
They'll like every single time that we have somebody that's extremely outspoken or doing things like this, and that they're not plugged in by one of the machines, they get killed or they get labeled as something and then they get shut out. It's every single time. It's like for me, what's baffling, like, I don't know if it's like what that whole thing that's happening outside of the A to Z or what it is, but just like taking into consideration that kid, Triple X, Tentacion, right? He was fighting everybody. He was doing all this bad shit. He got, like, everybody loved him when he was a terrible person, right? He started making a change, trying to better the community, better himself. They killed him. What the hell? He was literally fighting with gangsters and like crazy people all the time. He was doing that all the time. He was stabbing people. He was in jail. He did all of that. He got killed when he was trying to be a positive kid at 20 years old. That's nuts. It's like, coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences. You know what I mean? I think that there's really something up. There's really something effed up going on when it comes to that kind of stuff. And it's just like mind baffling. It's insane. And like, and then people like to throw dirt on his name and in his image. It's like, so like imagine something that you do as a kid. And I'm not condoning anything that he did. I think everything, like all, like whether it was allegations, whatever, I'm not getting involved with it. I think all that stuff's wrong. like I like the act of doing that, whether it happened or it didn't. But it's just like now that he's gone, everybody's just throwing that, and instead of talking about the change that he was trying to make, right? So it's just like, so you make a mistake at like 16, 17 years old, and then what, when you're 30 and you're about to get a job, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we looked at your Twitter feed and supposedly you did this, so you can't get the job now. It's 16 years old. It's like, people change. That's the thing. Like, people are bad. Some people don't stay bad their whole life, and some people don't stay good their whole life. There's some people that are saints, and something happens to them, and then they're pieces of shit after. And there's some people that are pieces of shit, something happens to them, and then they're great people afterwards.
Some of the best stories are made because people made that change.
Yeah.
I mean, you ever try to tell a great story that doesn't change? It's
Exactly.
not a great story.
That's
it's
a
great
boring
story
movie.
because, he fell flat on his face. He went to jail, came out, made a change in his community, helped out a lot of people, had a positive career, took care of his family, whatever the case may be. Like, that's where the great stories are made, is when people go through those changes. Tupac died at 25.
Yeah.
How old are you? 23?
Just turned 24.
Just turned 24.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
For me, that's nuts.
May you live a long time, but a year from now, imagine you pass away.
Yeah.
So what do you leave behind? Imagine that. Like, at 25, we're still talking about Tupac's music 20 some odd years later.
Yeah.
And it still is like, as
still
hot as it
relevant.
was back then, I would still rock it all the time, every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's mind blowing how much you can do in the time that you're given. What did
100%.
Malcolm X, what age did he die on? What age was he?
I
think
should know
Malcolm
this,
X was-
but I don't know this. I do know he was like in the Bloods till he was like 25, though, right? Yeah, he was like in some gangster shit till he was 25. So if he would have died at the age that X died at,
Yeah.
Malcolm X would have been a bad person.
Yeah, exactly. He was like a saxophone player. No, he wasn't a saxophone player. He was, but yeah, my point is that they're so young. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you can make that change, but in such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tupac at 16 wasn't the Tupac at 25. And we are in our 30s, still trying to make a difference, still trying to change. I'm 37, still trying to change, still trying to find things that I'd like to morph, about myself, whether it's being more health conscious, getting better sleep. It could be simple shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine at 25, I don't even think that they know they're that popular. So no matter what your age at 23, 24, you could still accomplish a lot way before your 30s, to the point where even if you were to pass away, that you would leave a lot behind. But it's deep, man. It's deep. There's, it goes beyond the music.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. And it's like, and the feeling goes beyond words, man. It's nuts. And it's just like, all I know is like, I want to do something similar that he did. So if there's ever a day like I get struck by lightning or I die from whatever,
Yeah.
like I want to be able to like music, like, like my music, hate my music, whatever. But I really want to leave like a influential stain on people. And I want people to like try being better and then bettering themselves. Like, I'm glad that I didn't die at like 19, 20 years old. I would have died a piece of shit. So it's like, I'm glad that I'm the person that I am now. And I'm glad that now I'm starting to get traction rather than starting to get traction when I was a loser.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fight everybody and everything.
I don't think you're ever a loser. I think you feel that way because you haven't found what you think is your calling, or you know what I mean? Because I bet you, we have this conversation 5 years from now, you're going to be like, oh, this guy about today, oh, he was a loser because you hadn't yet accomplished some of the things that you're talking about accomplishing in the next few years.
Yeah, no,
so
you're right.
You're always going to refer to yourself as that, but I don't think you're ever a loser. Like, especially because you're the one that's an advocate for the youth and wanting people to make a positive change. You don't use words like that. I think that's just your perception, because we were all losers at one point. But we were just losers because we didn't find our way. So those are strong words. But I think if you look back in a few years, you'll always refer to your old hero as somebody that wasn't quite there yet. Either slow, was doing bad shit. Have you done any, have you been in trouble, like real trouble?
Nope.
No comment.
No trouble. I'm good. I don't got a record.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We were talking about being spiritual, and we're talking about lucid dreaming. Are you a religious person? Because we talked about spirituality, and obviously you're very in tune with that. You meditate. Are you a religious person?
Religion, no. Spiritual, yeah. So it's like, for me, religion, it starts bringing up lines and blocks in something that is filled with color and feeling. So does it make sense for it to be all like
Starts being materialistic,
Yeah.
a book,
yeah, and it's
a profit, you know, something.
yeah, and then it's like you got to buy into something,
Yeah, exactly.
and then it's like it's the same
It's a
companies.
logo. It's like
yeah.
now there's a sticker to it.
Yeah, and
Where
it's-
before it was more inside, spiritual, something you can explain or see, lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, you can't put a finger on that.
and it's like, and you know, I don't like everybody's like cool to believe in their own things. The way that I see it is like there's like religious wars going on, blah blah blah, and then it's like, but what year is it? It's 2019 after what? The death of Christ. So on the planet, if it's 2019, everybody agrees that it's 2019 after the death of Christ, then what religious war is really happening? It's not really a religious war happening, right?
We're still trying to build walls.
It's just like it's just an illusion. So it's like we think, you know, that we have a say and things like that, but it's like the agenda already knows what year it is. We go by the calendar, like, you know, there's still places that are closed on Sunday. Like we think that it's like, oh, we have the options. Like, well, I'm gonna be a Buddhist or whatever it is. It's still 2019 after Christ. It's like, oh yeah, I'm atheist. I don't believe in anything. Okay, well, it's still 2019 after the death of Christ.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's just it's an illusion. And like what I was saying with religion, it's taking blocks and it's putting numbers and it's a bunch of stuff that's really male-minded. You know what I mean? But spirituality and our soul and like God and creativity, consciousness, I think is way more female-minded. Creativity, things like this, creation. We were created. It's not math and numbers and blocks in the way that us as men want it to be. So then you can make sense out of it. And then the thing is, you can't make sense out of it. And then that's why people are going to be ending up atheists. They're going to be, well, there's all these plot holes in this story. I don't believe in nothing. And that's also the plan, though, because if people aren't spiritual and they don't believe they have a soul, what are they even doing on this planet? You don't have a soul. What are you doing? You're literally just existing, and you believe everything is chaos, and you fly into whatever you get put into. So for everybody else's story, they just use you. You just get used over and over again. But that's society's breeding those kind of people where it's like, okay, yeah, well, I've been being lied to my whole life. Santa Claus isn't real. Jesus isn't real. It's impossible. I don't believe in God anymore. And then they're carrying themselves on like that. It's like, you have to have a relationship with mind, body, and soul. You don't. There's already something weird happening there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like religion, it's all fear tactics. It's like, oh yeah, you don't do this, you're in an eternity of hell, you know? And like an eternity of fire. Fire is here. People die in their houses here. Children get burned alive here on this planet. That's hell right now, you know? And just like, so say, like that, this is actually what kind of like started steering me away from the whole religious thing. I used to be super religious. I was raised Catholic, so I still got like crosses and stuff like this. More so just like out of respect for like my grandma's beliefs and things like that. But I would like lay awake at night thinking like, is like this person gonna go to hell because of what they did, or is my mom gonna go to hell because she had me before she was married, or is this gonna happen, or is this gonna happen? And it's like, what the hell is a kid doing laying awake at night thinking about that? And I thought about it. It's like, if God existing or whatever it is that made us, I don't imagine it thinking
a creator, a higher power.
Why? Like, how would it find joy in innocence feeling fear? That's like, for me, that's the exact description of what the devil gets talked about. You know what I mean? That's what that is. It sounds like the devil. It doesn't sound like the thing that like made us and all loving and things like that. How's it all loving where it's like, oh yeah, you masturbate, hell for eternity. All loving. Oh, you cheated, hell for eternity. That's not all loving, you know what I mean? Like how we were just talking is like, kid passed away at 20 years old, didn't get a chance to do what he like fully flourish. Yeah. So did he go to hell, right? Because of what he did, is he in hell or is he in heaven? Or is like, what is it even? People think about that and they're not doing regular things.
That's
in their
funny you
everyday
should
life.
mention that. So is there a place you can go to? And I'm asking you like you got all the answers, but we're having the conversation. So if mistakes are made, and a lot of us make mistakes, we do shit that we're not proud of, you get sent to hell. So there isn't an alley between hell and heaven you get to hang out in. Well, if you weren't fully bad or fully good.
Well, they say that's like purgatory, right? So then you wait and you have to prove yourself to whether you're going to get in hell.
Is that what it is?
Heaven. Yeah. But this is the way that I see it. Like, and it's like kind of, because like I've studied a lot of religions, like, so I didn't just like say screw religion and shut it out. So when I was like studying like Buddhism, makes the most sense for me because it's like energy never dies, right? It just gets passed on. and like there's no such thing as forever. Everything has like an ending or like a loop point where it repeats itself.
Yes.
So it's just like, I think if we carry ourselves negatively and you feel that, or you carry yourself with lust for this material world, like, oh, I need like the yachts, this and that. When you die, your soul yearns for what's on the material world. So you'll come back and you'll come back and you'll come back and you'll come back and until you get it right. And then like, I wish I have like this, like, I call it my reality slinky, but it's like this slinky thing, but it's like shaped in the same way as like the flower of life.
Yeah.
So it like shows like how everything is just like repeating itself, right? Yeah. And then the whole goal, like to reach nirvana or whatever it is, right? It's to break out of that spiral and create your own reality, right? So it's like, until then, I feel like we're just doomed to repeat this over.
You almost have
to
to keep doing the level over and over again until you pass it.
Yeah, and I think
by passing it is you got to shed yourself of all materialistic things, you know, and going back to what we were saying about heaven and hell, it's like, so can people be forgiven? And I know that you wait. You're saying that what's that called?
Purgatory or limbo.
So you wait in limbo until a decision's made of whether you're going to hell or heaven. I truly believe that. Well, first of all, if with all these different religions out there, then everybody's heaven must be a little bit different, described differently, like everybody's hell would be different. I think we all have our own hell or heaven to go to. But like you said, the more you read up on these religions, and I'm not a religious person per se, but I love studying up on them. But I'm not a religious person. But the closest I've found to my way of thinking is being Buddhist.
Yeah.
And exactly what you just said. It's the closest thing to what I actually believe to be true, which is hard for me to say because I'm not Buddhist. I'm Druze. I'm not. I wasn't raised that way. I don't know anybody that's a Buddhist. But after some research, I've kind of found that that's more along the lines of what I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm like pretty much I'm the same way, and it's just like I think too is like because reality is based on our perception, and we're like our souls are way strong, our minds and our souls are way stronger than we're led to believe. Like I think like if you believe in like a heaven where you're gonna go and it's like an airport and you're gonna go see your family and everything's like that, it's gonna be all nice and dandy. If you believe that and you're a good person, I think you're gonna go there. You know what I mean? I think like you'll get granted that, right? But it's like if you're a bad person and you do all these things, where like you know where you're gonna go because you're setting it up for yourself. Like you know what I mean? Like they're not gonna be like I did all of this and I'm gonna go like to that airport with my family now and my dog's gonna be there. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking like, holy shit, I've been a piece of shit my whole life. I'm gonna go to hell. Yeah. And then that's where they go.
I think if any of us were approaching Judgment Day, I think 99% of us would be nervous as to what the outcome's going to be. Yeah. I'd like to meet the 1%er that's walking in and be like, no, I did everything right. I thought everything right. I did all the right things in life. This is going to be a breeze.
That guy's
you know what I mean? It's like walking into a test that you haven't studied for. Legit. It's like, there's no way I'm going to do well.
Oh, if it goes like what the Bible says, like there's like trumpet horns and blah, 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 and all that starts happening, I'm like, yeah, it's written. You don't even got to really judge me. I know I'm going directly to hell. But
yeah, it's funny because we're talking about souls, but you believe that a soul is that light that's inside of you, that when it's taken away, it's very hard to get back. I've noticed, and this was something I thought, I don't know how much I smoked before I thought this, but you know when people pass away, their pupils dilate. And you know how people say that the eyes are the windows to the soul?
Yep.
I feel like the soul escapes when the pupils dilate, when you die. Like the reason they get bigger is so the soul has room to leave. What do you think about that?
That is, I never thought about it like that. I do think like that the soul is a physical thing that like leaves the body. So like,
but why do the pupils dilate? Why do they get bigger?
Yeah.
And why is that the windows to the soul? Is it getting? Does it get? I'm sure there's a my brother's here, he's a doctor, he probably explained it.
Like,
that's not why. The chemicals that, you know what I mean? He'll be talking about that, but just spiritually thinking that the pupils dilate, man, that almost seems to me like a reason for the reason that happens is so the soul can escape.
I can't remember what song it's from, but one of like my favorite J. Cole lyrics like ever is like, science could tell us how, but they can't tell us why. So it's just like, your brother will explain to you how it's happening.
Yeah.
But why though? You know, it's like, oh, because this like reaction's happening with this, and then the body's doing this, and this is how it's reacting to blah blah blah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but why though? right? Not why we'll be there forever until we're not. And then it's like, that's the crazy thing. I think like religion, it eliminates science, and then science eliminates religion. But in spirituality, they both come together, and it only makes sense for them to be together.
It's almost like they both don't exist, like on a deeper level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just like you're no longer blinded by the numbers of each side, right? It's once you understand that it's more of an in tune thing. It's not a written doctrine like about your soul. It's not going to be a written thing. It's about you finding yourself. That's the real thing, and like. But there's no marketing behind that, and then how's that person going to want to go to work tomorrow?
How are you going to make money off it? Why would you market it?
Exactly. Like there's like it was a trip. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, and then I was like I was talking about like how life is just a ride, and like our brain convinces us that this ride is real, right? So then we forget that it's a ride, and then we worry about all this materialistic stuff, and then the powers that be are like, oh, I got a lot invested in this ride, right? And then my homie's like, oh yeah, so you like watch like Bill Hicks, and I was like, don't know who that is, and he put me onto this comedian, and then like I don't quote me on it because he doesn't say it exactly like this, but in this sketch he's like, how can we never hear of like a good LSD story, right? Like a dude gets high, realizes that like everything's vibrating, everything is moving, nothing is ever still, and we're all consciousness experiencing itself subjectively.
I've experienced that.
Yeah,
the craziest shit ever.
But it's just like
the most real too.
And then what he goes on to saying too is like we're all on this ride, right? And then our brain convinces us that this ride is real. Meanwhile, these people own the rides. Like we got all this invested in this ride, and blah blah blah. And then he goes on to saying, he's like, some people though, they come into this world and they know that it's a ride, and then they like chill other people out. They're like, yo, relax, man. It's just a ride. It's just a ride. And he's like, you know what we do to those people? We kill them.
Yeah, exactly. The ones that say they've seen the light and come back, it's like, no, stay on the other side. We don't need you back.
Yeah, no.
We don't need you waking up people.
Yeah, legit. It's like, how crazy would people look at the guy who's like, I got all this knowledge from he who created us, blah, 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 and start spreading messages positively. We would shut him down and instantly be like, that guy's insane. What does he think? He's Jesus or something?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people are praying for the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a lot of those same people are like racist towards like brown people.
Yeah.
Forgetting that Jesus, Middle East thing. Something against hijabs. Like every picture of Mary, what the heck is she wearing?
Yeah.
Where are they from?
Yeah.
And then you see though how confused is this like as a human population.
But by then they're too far gone. That points like that, they just don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but that's like insane.
Yeah,
because like this
it is insane because that's what she's wearing.
Yeah, and it's like this whole time it was like the powers that be. It's like, how much can we get away with? How much can we get away with? How much can we get away with? And it's to the point where they're getting away with literally absolutely everything.
Well, you push people to their limit, and right before their breaking point, you back up a little bit.
Yeah,
and then you attack them again.
Yeah,
but slow to them, they're fighting back, but you're just bringing them back one step at a time. And before you know it, you look back, you've gone back a mile.
And and look, like all of these like people that are getting busted for like being like weird little creeps with like kids and shit like that, like having like 14-year-old like girlfriends when they're like in their 30s and shit. It's like right now media is covering it and being like how bad it is, but before you know it, it's gonna keep showing it until it's a norm, it'll keep doing it until it's a norm. And
well, they forget that 1,000 years ago, dating a 9-year-old was normal for a 30-year-old. It was like the thing to do. Now it's illegal, but yet we're basing a lot of these writings and knowledge that we have on the writings of those people.
Yeah, of that
it's
time.
Like, so you're only taking what you want from them, but certain things, it's a no-no. It's like, so are we smarter now or were we smarter then? I'm confused.
Yeah, legit.
It's a roller coaster. You know what I mean? I feel like there's two kinds of people. There's people that jump on a roller coaster, like me sometimes. I'm getting out of that habit, but I'm on a roller coaster. I'm looking around. I'm checking out all the bolts. All the metal, everything that's comprised of this roller coaster, the seat belt. I'm analyzing everything. Way too busy to look around and enjoy the view. So I feel like in life, you're either that person that's analyzing the roller coaster and what's wrong with it and where things can go wrong, or you're just taking a sit back and enjoying the ride, enjoying the view, and just letting the roller coaster do its thing. Because if something does go wrong, you can't control it anyways. You're kind of strapped in. But I feel like people have that kind of approach. But slowly people are starting to enjoy the view. But with more of that, you're still going to get the people that are in the program where they're just taught to look around them and see everything that's wrong and analyze everything instead of really sit back and think of life as a ride.
Yeah, I
you
agree
know?
with that. It's like I look at it like for me, like there's three people. It's like the people that
There's 3 people.
yeah.
I thought there was 2. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
there's a
There's a
third
third.
guy. Yeah,
Okay.
the third guy, he makes the roller coasters. So it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah. There's the
The
people.
creator.
Yeah, right. So then there's people who do things,
Yeah.
people who watch the people do things, and then the third is people that are wondering what the fuck is going on.
The 1%ers are the ones that created that roller coaster,
Yeah,
right?
legit. You know, and then it's like
You're
that
right.
mind state is like we could be that 1% with our mind state, create the ride,
Yeah.
and then other people are experiencing the ride. Create the
Exactly.
song, create the podcast, other people experience the
Yeah.
podcast.
It's all trickery.
Yeah.
It's like when you found out Pepsi and Coke were the same company, and for years you pitted them against each other. You're like, no, I like Pepsi. I'd never touch Coke. One guy's like, I like Coke. I wouldn't touch Pepsi. And then you realize years later that the same guy owns both. It's
Yeah.
like, that's cool. Just pit them against each other and just make it seem like they're different, but they're really one and the same.
Yeah, it's that whole all the milk's coming from the same cow. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like, I like this kind of milk. I like this kind of milk. You're getting it from the same source.
Exactly.
You know?
We were talking about souls, and what baffles me is, you know how whether it's at a wax museum, you see all these celebrities having what is it?
Like the wax models of themselves.
Yeah, wax models of themselves being made, and then you have these sex dolls. But looking at them, you can tell instantly that it's not a real person. There's no soul in there. And they get it down to the T, right? Like a wax sculpture of Leonardo DiCaprio looks just like him, to the T, to the inch, to the millimeter, to the eye color. But looking at him, you know it's not real. You can tell instantly. It's not like you're confused for a second. You can tell when a doll is fake and when it's real, even though they have the technology to carbon copy every little thing about you. But we were talking about the soul, the eyes being the windows to the soul, is because when you look into somebody's eyes, you can tell if there's a soul there.
No doubt.
Creepy as fuck. Look at a wax sculpture at a wax museum. Instantly, you can tell that it's not a real person. But why?
Yeah. No,
Same clothing, same skin color, same hair, down to the same eye color, same stance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
But
agree
in a
with you for
picture,
sure.
you can always tell that that's not the real celebrity. That's a fake. But you can tell through the eyes. It's like the eyes give away this indication that there's a soul there that you can't fake with anything else.
And I think too, like with like on the topic of eyes, like with what like me and you are seeing right now,
Yeah.
that's only what like our brain, because like our brain is like the control center, and our soul like using the brain. So then the brain, after being used by the soul, is using the eyes, right? So it's like we get all these images upside down, and then our brain puts it right side up. That's how we see it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like really trippy, like how reality based it all is, right?
Yeah.
But like I think what we can see like isn't what's actually going on, and I think like our subconscious, like our soul knows. So it's like that what you were talking about, like when you look into the person's eyes, right, and like you could get the vibe of their soul being there, and like when I think
Or when
back,
you get a good feeling versus a bad one. So not just if a soul exists, sometimes you go a little deeper than that and think, does this person mean me harm, or what's this agenda about? You know what I mean?
and like for me, I could state it like factually. It's like a fact that we have souls. It's like I remember at my auntie's funeral, like like when like everybody's like kiss her on the forehead, blah blah, close the casket, all of that. I'll never forget like what it felt like when I kissed her on the forehead, and like the absence of life. You feel it. You really feel it, and and it's like,
And not just because of the warmth versus her being a little colder.
No,
you can feel it.
yeah, you feel it like coming closer and closer, like like it's just like you, like if somebody takes their hand and they put it closer and closer to you like that, you feel like the waves and the vibrations, right? It's like giving off energy, but it's just like a dead battery. It's not giving off. It's not like my eyes never see it, but my soul, it's like my soul sees it, you know what I mean? And it no longer sees this thing that was being given off. And it's just
It's like when you're eating in a food court and you turn around and you catch a person looking at you because you felt somebody
Exactly.
looking. It's like, how did you get there? You weren't even looking in their direction. You weren't even looking at anything. You're looking down at your food, but you turn around and there's somebody looking right at you, and you're like, that's creepy. I felt that.
Man, this is the thing
Right?
too. It's like we're the like as human beings, we have the most potential, like with our brains and things like that. And it's just crazy to me that we're not,
Tapping into more of it.
Yeah, like because we it's gonna sound corny and cheesy, but we have the ability, to be telepathic with one another. we like, you know, people do it every day.
That's not corny and cheesy. It happens every day.
But it's like, imagine like if that was a taught thing, like we're going to school and learning about that rather than learning about how I'm going to be a little Lego soldier in this.
Yeah, let's
bullshit.
teach people to be woke.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how long the government stays around for.
But I feel like if we were a society that was based on that instead of based on fear and lies, we'd be in like not flying cars, we'd be in flying castles. You know what I mean? We'd be traveling through space. We'd be doing all of that because we'd be worried about the sun, and the sun, we get all our energy from that rather than all of these fossil fuels where you could divvy up and go to war about. We think that like as like the everyday people like us in this room, say we get drafted in the army and we think we're fighting for this cause, right? And then like our families, like we're getting them money. It's all money that isn't real. It's a number on a computer that doesn't exist. And what we're actually fighting for is fossil fuels. And we're not aware of this. We're not aware that we're going to Afghanistan because of the poppy fields. We're not aware of that, right?
Yeah.
We're stopping terrorists. We're stopping the bad guys. And then to the bad guys, what do we look like? We're the bad guys.
Best salesmen in the world are taught to bring you into the army, but they do it in such a way where you're programmed that when you do go over there, you're fighting the bad guys, you're a hero to your country, you're providing for your family. Yet in the meantime, the people that are sending you over there, the one percenters we were talking about, have this whole other agenda that you're just absolutely clueless about.
They're, like it's like they're playing chess and you're just a pawn inside the chessboard, like quite literally.
And sometimes you need a reason to start a war. 9/11 was your reason to go over there.
Yeah.
Whether people choose to believe that it was an inside job or it wasn't, or, you know, bombs went off, or what happened to Tower 7, or why aren't there pictures of these planes by the Pentagon? Why does it look like a missile? It's like all these things wrapped up together just to get you to understand that you need to sacrifice some lives to have your excuse to go over there. Otherwise, what are you rah-rahing about?
Yeah.
Imagine this. Around 9/11, they were like, let's go. We got to go get Osama bin Laden. It's like, why? We're fine.
Like, who the fuck is
why?
that
What
guy?
happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, he said some things on Twitter. It's like, yeah, nobody would back you up, right? But kill 2,000 people, bring down 3 buildings in New York. All of a sudden, it's like...
This is the public enemy number one.
Exactly. But you're telling me that in an hour and a half, the air above New York or the U.S. was invaded by 11 terrorists with box cutters, and nobody showed up in an hour and a half to take them down?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. You can't fly over Lebanon for an hour and a half without being taken down. And this is the U.S. You know what I mean? Number one military in the world.
Yeah.
You're telling me nobody could stop these guys just traveling around trying to figure out where to go if that was what happened? You know what I'm saying?
No,
so sometimes you need a reason to go over there.
That story's all like, that like is honestly, it's like going back to like, let's see how much we could get away with. It's like, yo, they killed Osama bin Laden.
Let's see how stupid they can be.
Yeah, on camera. And then they said, we're not showing you the video. Yeah. And then they're like, we're going to throw him in the ocean because of his religious beliefs. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you got to be 6 feet under. And then it's like, there's like the cement casing, right? So then like once like the angel of death comes and wakes you up out of your coffin, you're able to stand down there. So it's like 6 feet deep and encased with cement. That's where the hell do you hear ocean water in that? In anything that I was just talking about, you know what I mean?
That's right.
And then they made a movie on it and sold that movie.
Yeah.
Wow, like for me, it's insane. It's literally,
and where they make money just doesn't stop, eh?
Yeah,
like they even make a movie about it so they can make more money, promote it, and it's just like this vicious circle of money that just
to the point where it's started. Like infinite. They literally have an infinite amount of money, and then like, and it's all on a computer. So poverty, how does that even really exist if we're not? It makes sense for there to be piss poor people if, like, let's say he who owned all of the pants was the guy who had all the money. So
yeah,
there's gonna be like, you know, it's finite, you know? Yeah. It's finite. Our money isn't finite, so how the hell do we have people that are living in poverty? How? When our money doesn't exist.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, fine, screw me. Keep this whole money situation that we have. I get it, whatever. What's going on in the places that was like, oh, they just don't have the money to get out of the situation they're in? It's like, rich people go down there, take their natural resources, and then say they have no money. You know what I mean? If I go and I do that in the Kingsway, I'm stealing.
I think these trillionaires need to relinquish some of their assets because they're bored.
Legit.
And when trillionaires get bored, people die. It's like, what else is like? What's a billionaire out there sitting thinking? Like what's his mindset? What's his next goal? Because everybody needs goals. Mm-hmm. So if you think you have bigger goals than a billionaire, you're sadly mistaken, my friend.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? No matter what your income level is at, no matter what your bank account says, everybody needs goals. Otherwise, you would never wake up in the morning. You never get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
You need a goal, something, right? So I just feel like they're a little bit bored. They're looking for that next best thing. But if they would just kind of divvy that up equally, you'd have less people trying to, conquer countries. Instead, just kind of focus, take a look at themselves and try to better their people. But if we're just going to keep, going after more billionaires and trillionaires and try to figure out who's going to outdo who, you're going to end up with people like Trump and Putin and scaring the shit out of everybody. But you got a guy out there who's obviously somewhat of a loose cannon, who within a couple of phone calls or pushes of a few buttons could literally take out countries, like lives, like millions and millions of lives. So it's a scary thought. I think it's meant to keep us on edge, but it's just, you get sick of being on the edge after a while.
No doubt. And it's just like there's two things I want to say. One is like, I think like that dude is such a, like, a lot of people disagree with me. They talk about like how he came up with his own money and blah blah blah. Like I think he's such a puppet. It's retarded.
He's self-made, bro.
Yeah.
What's
like,
your problem?
It's like, and I shouldn't have said it like that. Like not retarded, but he's so
Oh no, you're close. Yeah.
But it's like he like think about like the comical satire society that we're in right now and how perfectly he fits into that. You know what I mean? Like imagine like we're living in an episode of Futurama. Everything makes sense, right?
Oh, you don't have to imagine. It's there.
Right? And it's like everything makes sense according to the writer. So like, yeah, no, he's the one that's for the people. Him, yeah. And when everything that's going to this machine's plan has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger, this guy, yeah, him, he's gonna be the one that's gonna change.
He's our savior, bro.
Yeah,
I can see it.
100%. That makes a total amount of sense if like you haven't been paying attention to everything that's been leading up to the point to him to get there. You know what I mean? It was like, for me, it's like, oh, so what, you would rather have corrupt Hillary win? It's like, no, I'd rather have none of the people that were in that whole race win, because they were all corrupt. That's how they get into that position.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, like there's crazy things that about like the Hillary Clinton thing that just got
we're trying to pick a good apple out of a rotten tree.
Legit.
It's like, yeah, no. Can we just destroy the tree altogether?
Yeah, like it's like just there's no like the change that's happening isn't a change for us. Of course, at the time we're like the state's getting more sensitive about like black, white, gay, straight, this, that. Somebody who like embodies that, like a cartoon, who embodies all of the negatives about that, president now, and watch everybody argue about it. He's just a puppet. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he can make the phone calls to do all of that stuff, but there's going to be one dude blocking it and being like, that's the yes or the no. But he's obviously going to give it the okay. That's the reason why this guy's in the position of power that he's in, right? Yeah. But for me, it's just so freaking obvious. It's just like, man, it's the same way where it's like, we needed somebody like Bush to then bring in Obama, right? And yeah, some smiley face, how many bombs did he drop? You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about that when they're talking about how bad of a president that Trump is. Yeah. Think about it. It's like, we've been doing this over and over again. If they are going to make the change, they'll get assassinated, man. They'll get killed. Yeah. That's what happens if you want to make a change. Yeah. You know what I mean? This guy, there's no change happening there. All he's doing, every little tweet that he says, every little thing that he does, all it does is spark controversy between the people.
That provokes a lot of people.
And then people start arguing with each other about race, religion, sex, blah, 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 hats, all this stuff. They're arguing with each other. Nobody's pointing the finger at the guy who's his boss.
I think those problems have always been there, but now you kind of feel like it's okay to voice your opinion on it, which is okay to voice your opinion, but man, you got to be a little careful when you're discussing, people's skin color and religion and beliefs and stuff like that. And you're talking money, you're talking middle class, you're talking, third world countries. It's just to have somebody be so open about it and make it okay to walk around with pitchforks and candles and scream out hatred shit and attack anybody that's a darker color than you. That's a dangerous game to be playing.
But this is the crazy thing.
They talk about end times. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure somewhere in the Bible describes some of the stuff that's going on now.
Yeah, legit.
And that's forget about the hurricanes and all the natural disasters. But
it's like, it's crazy though, because like what I mentioned about how he's like the perfect cartoon character for all this to be happening now. It's like he didn't say for people to go and do that stuff, but they latch onto this comical cartoon character and they're like, yeah, now we can do this. You know what I mean? Like we were making a positive change, and then it's like, but Brace and all that started getting talked about how much more when Obama became president. It is just it was to look like we're making a progressive change. This is good. This is nice. It was just we were just stuck in the same thing. It's over and over and over again of the same nonsense. Like, who gives a damn about your ethnicity, really? What have you done for your ethnicity?
Yeah.
For your ethnicity, what have you done for your people? And like nowadays, like it's a conversation to be like, appropriating black culture, Asian culture, this and that. You forget what we are. We're human beings. Imagine an alien comes and then they see we're arguing about that and like, yo, you're on a marble and flip.
An alien would jump right back in his ship, be like, peace, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and like, and if
I'll go tell him what I found.
Yeah, if I was said alien, I'd be like, I'm gonna make you idiots my slaves because you guys don't even get along with each other. Well,
yeah, exactly.
You're gonna be better off if you work for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where it kind of gets like, you know, I don't think that the government's ran by aliens or some crazy shit. But what I do think is a scary
thought. But they exist, though.
Oh, 100%.
You know, they're everywhere.
100%. But I think like one of the scariest thoughts, though, like going back to that Donald Trump thing, the person that he like is going to give him the yes or no for dropping a bomb, right? And then that person's boss, and then that person's boss, and then that person's boss. Who is that? And why are they okay with the planet being ran?
I don't even think they're from that planet, the boss.
Right? It's like, whatever it is, it's completely fine with us being on a self-destructive path to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
Even though we're all on the planet, even though we're all the same.
Yeah.
This thing that's controlling us does not see us.
Yeah.
It sees me and you talking to each other is the same, but it doesn't see me and you to that is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like a whole other power.
True.
You know, and like that for me is that's where it gets scary. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like it's just incredibly too annoying. Like, but back onto that appropriation thing is like, as human beings, like that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to come together like, oh, you have this kind of spice. I never tried this spice before. So now when I put that spice on my chicken, I'm appropriating it. Oh, I never seen this color of dress before. Like, I want to wear this dress. Or I've never seen dreadlocks like that. I want to do my hair like that. Now you're racist. Now you're appropriating it. What the hell are you even talking about? What are people talking about right now?
Yeah.
Like, think of how twisted the world is, and they're worried about whether or not a white woman is going to go dread her hair. You're twacked. You were lost. It's like, but
focus on yourself.
Yeah, and it's the majority of people that are like that. You know what I'm saying? Like every time that I'm in a party and I start talking about what I'm talking about, everybody's like starts looking at me like, whoa, I never heard this before. It's like, dude, what have you been doing up to this point right now?
Everybody's distracted, bro. There's a lot of distractions out there. You think people are having some of these conversations. That's why it's good to have a podcast, because you feel like you're getting some thoughts out there that otherwise would not have been put out there had we not had mics in our faces, right? But to go on a positive note, we got sidetracked. How do people get a hold of you? Like for people that want to be involved in the music industry, to get a hold of you, to be guided by you in some way, listen to your music. How do people find you?
Find me on Instagram, all things TK. All my social media handles are all things TK, and then
all things TK.
Mm-hmm. And then my like Spotify, Apple Music title is Al Cabral, CAB''RAL. You get at me there. I got a Facebook too. I'm not as active as I used to be on it, but yeah, give me a shout. Always down to help out other artists. I've just been getting a lot busier now, so I'll still try my best. But yeah.
Do you have any shows coming up?
Yeah, I got my show on the 26th actually.
Of this month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's that?
At the Polar Park Brewery. I actually got tickets on me if you're looking at grab.
Yes.
It's like it's like these tickets I have are like the last of the tickets that are existing. It's like about to be sold out, so I'm really happy about
that you brought them with you.
Yeah.
Tanvi, are we going? Yeah, it's okay. Tanvi was like, it's my idea, man. So it's the 26th.
Yeah.
Which is what? Friday, Saturday?
Saturday. Yeah, I got that, and then
what's the address of that place? Like, can people get tickets at the door, or what you got with you is like if you don't?
I wouldn't advise waiting to get tickets at the door because we're probably going to be at capacity.
Okay.
But let me find the address here.
Let me see one of those.
Oh,
I'll take mine now before I forget.
Safe.
So this is 10416 80th Ave. So just off of White Ave, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never been there before.
It's a new spot actually.
Okay. And you can't get tickets at the door.
No.
Like you gotta. And so how do people get tickets?
Message me, or you could get them on Eventbrite. I think that's the site. Is that what we use, Eventbrite? What? Ticketfly? Yeah,
you're not allowed to talk if you're behind the curtain. You got to be in front. And then I was like, where did that come from?
Ghost.
Well, I appreciate you being here, my man. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming with them. I know we didn't get a chance to chat with you guys. We'll get 7 mics one day where everybody could just chat.
Can I plug my single real quick?
Of course, man. Plug it.
I got a new single with Woodrow out now called Fade Ed. Y'all go check that out. And then I also got a single coming out called Take Time on February 8th. Yes, February 8th. So make sure to check that out once it's out. And again, follow me on all of my handles, all things TK, and Cabral on Spotify and Apple Music. Yeah.